Good morning and welcome to Thrive Not Just Survive. I'm your host, Nasira Jamal, and I want to welcome you to this broadcast. I have a very special guest on today for all my entrepreneurs out there, my people from the Pink Tank. If you're watching or you're watching on replay, this conversation is going to be a game changer for you because I have invited a specialist that deals with leveraging social media to get leads. And I believe this conversation is a really important one. Whether you're a startup or you're in the middle of your business or you've already scaled, we all have to understand that social media is really, part of our marketing strategy now. And Eric Quallam has been quoted as saying, we don't have a choice on whether we do social media. The question is how well we do it. And so here we are exploring a genius in somebody who's figured it out and who is here to share that conversation with us today. So let me welcome this amazing guest, Francine Sinclair, to the conversation, and I will have you meet her. Hey, Francine, welcome to the show.
Hey, Nasira, how are you? Thank you for having me here.
I'm excellent. Thank you so much for being here. Like, as we talked before the show, I think this is such an important conversation as people pivot from, the traditional marketing, which could be billboards and newspaper ads and da. But before we get there, I want to hear a little bit about your story, how you got to doing what you're doing and where all this started. So can you share with us about your story?
Yes, so I was a stay-at-home mom for 13 years. I have two children. Now they're 17 and 14. I stopped working back in 2006 when my youngest was born. He had a lot of food allergies. So I decided to become a stay-at-home mom, stopped doing what I was doing at the time. And right around when he turned 11 or 12, I decided that it was time. Well, no, when he was about 10, I decided that I wanted to start to do something because I saw that, my kids are growing up. Eventually, they're going to leave the house. What am I going to do? Am I just going to sit down and knit all day, or what am I going to do? So I got into e-commerce. And I developed a product. I had it manufactured in China. I imported it. I sold it on Amazon. I had my own brand. During the time I was selling on Amazon, it was just a very testosterone driven type of environment. And there were just so many things with the Amazon algorithm. Now, I did well. I sold my product. But the only thing that I didn't like about it is that there were so many issues with counterfeits, and Amazon was a jungle. Okay, so during the time that I was selling my product, I did not have the big budgets to do all the PPC on Amazon. I did some of it, but I had to find a way to sell my physical product without spending all my money. Right. So I started using social media, and particularly Pinterest. And I learned on my own how to use it to sell my product. I was successful at doing that. I was able to minimize the amount of PPC that I was doing by using Pinterest and social media, and that was free. I mean, it took a lot of time actually for me to figure it out, but it was free in terms of money. And I really fell in love with it because the only thing that I really liked about my business back then was the product development. And then I fell in love with social media. The only people I talked to before were people in China 12 hours ahead of me. And when I started getting to social media, the interactions that took place, the connections with people, I just loved it. So I decided back in October 2019 that I wanted to go ahead and do this for other small business owners. So I let I finished selling my product out during Christmas, which is a high season of sales. Everything sold out, and I fully transitioned into doing social media for small business owners.
That is amazing, because what I want to really, like you said, quite a few things there. There's nuggets in there, and I really want to point them out. Is that you were doing a product sale, definitely, something that you were passionate about, and you were figuring it out in terms of Amazon. And clearly, you said it was a jungle, which really is quite synonymous with the word. But what happened is, I guess for you, you learned quite a bit on that journey, which landed you to something that really you felt that was your genius, right? With social media and how you figured it out. And though you say you didn't spend a lot on PPC, or, and you learned it for free, but it took a lot of time to figure it out. And that is the part where I think for entrepreneurs, they don't have the time to figure all of the different components out. And social media is a pretty important one, as we are, more technology based, and a lot of the advertising now is moving out of print and things like this. Can you comment on that in terms of those that were maybe using billboards or paper advertising, newspaper advertising, and things like that, traditional marketing? How do you help them transition?
Yeah, so billboards, ads, there's not that two-way connection or interaction with people like there is on social media. So it's a one-way street, right? When you're putting up a billboard, when you're putting out an ad, it's one way. You're pushing information. It's what they call outbound marketing. And I think they call what we're doing now inbound marketing. So you're just pushing out there. You're not getting any feedback unless, somebody actually calls you. Right. And your question, I think, was, how is it different? Well, on social media, so a lot of my clients have been established for a while. I don't know how that happened. It just ended up being that way, that somehow the small business owners that had been approaching me had been in business for a while. And some of them were brick and mortar businesses, and they had been doing traditional forms of advertising and using social media, but only social media for, their personal friends and family. And they were using their business, so they didn't have a very good idea of how to use social media for business. And that's where they were getting caught up. They didn't know where to post, what to post, and when to post it. Should I just share memes? Should I just, they weren't sure. And it was giving them a lot of stress because they're realizing, social media is not going away. 10 years ago, social media was kind of like a cool thing to have, but the primary thing to have was a website. Well, it's not like that anymore. You can't get away with having a business, a social media profile, and having your last post be from October 2018. It's actually more harmful than good nowadays. So getting them out of that situation and teaching people, okay, well, you need a strategy. Mm-hmm. You need to figure out what that strategy is, and it has to be directly related or customized for that ideal audience that you're trying to attract. And then your strategy also has to have consistency, because if you don't have consistency, but also you have to remember, social media is about people getting to know you. People want to buy from people, not from brands. Right. So they want to know you, get to know you, like you, trust you. And one of the best ways to do this is social media, videos. And so getting them to shift that idea that they had of how to do advertising is really rewarding for me, especially when they start to say, oh, okay, now I get it, and right. Doing things on their own and getting that confidence. Right. I really love that.
Right. So in terms of, like you talked about it, there has to be a strategy. There has to be consistency. It can't just be a post here and there. How do you help them with this? Is that something that you kind of put together as a program or as a package?
Yes, absolutely. So I help them. Well, first of all, some people, the businesses that are established, they usually already know who their ideal customer is. And so some people don't really have a clear idea if they're starting out, but a lot of people do. So I help them when it comes to customizing their messages for that audience. So I help them create that strategy and implement it. But I also do a lot of coaching, because we're working together in creating this strategy. And then once we have this strategy created, it flows much easier. You're just kind of replicating what you're doing and maintaining that consistency. Some people just hire me because they're pretty confident that they can do it themselves, or maybe they're just starting out. They need somebody to help them develop a strategy and, kind of coach them through that, but they're comfortable in continuing it and, implementing it. Some people just don't have the time, and some people don't want anything to do with social media. They just want to throw it at me, which I let them know, you can't remove yourself completely, because you are the person behind your business. But I help them in terms of how to come to terms with that and how to do it in a way that feels good to them.
Right. And that's the thing, right? Like you said, social media is really about developing a relationship with that audience, right? They want to get to know you, like you, trust you, like you said. And it's if you remove yourself completely, then you're losing that relationship building that's going on. As much as you can have somebody create that strategy, but the brand is you, right? The relationship is with you. And so it's really cool that you're actually coaching them to get comfortable with it, because it's something that empowers them to continue with their business and have that flair of dealing with their audience in a very unique, personalized manner. And so I guess my next question would be to you is, initially, if somebody came to you, would you do like a sort of an overview of what they're doing right now and then help them with the strategy that they can implement right away? Or is it more like you just give them the steps of how to do it and then you kind of send them and let them do it and then they come back, sort of reporting back?
No, actually, it's really hands-on. So,
Okay.
we do an onboarding where we sit down and figure out what they're doing, what's working, what's not working. We develop a strategy. No, I don't post anything or do anything without their approval. So that's one of the first questions, like, are you just going to be posting and then I'm going to, no, everything is approved ahead of time in batches. So it's very hands-on. There's a lot of hand-holding with some people. A lot of
Right.
my clients are Gen X and older, my generation, and we didn't grow up with a lot of this stuff. So like the younger people, it's, easy, automatic. They're used to all this video, all this stuff, sharing their whole life. A lot of my clients are like, I don't really want to put all this personal stuff. I don't like putting my face out there. I really don't like live video. I don't, and it's like really holding their hand at the beginning and, showing them that as you do it, you will get better. And it's really rewarding when they just start, like, it's not a problem anymore. So it's really nice.
That's the cool thing, because I think what you're helping people do, though that the strategy and all of that social media is important, it's building that self-confidence. It's coming out and being very confident, right? For a lot of people, especially Gen X and older, we weren't used to this level of exposure in terms of video and content and life and, that kind of hustle, right?
Yeah.
So I think, that confidence level isn't built up yet. Not that it doesn't exist. I think that, there's a lot of confidences that we have in a very different way.
Right.
But to show up on social media requires another level of self-confidence that actually you are helping build up, because once they start seeing the results and they start getting that familiarity with social media of how it can work for them, it really builds them and empowers them. And I think that to me is so powerful, because I'm so about how can we help the entrepreneurs or small business owners have that feeling of empowerment.
Yes, yes. And I had to do it myself. Before COVID, I was a lot about working face to face, meeting people in the community. And I didn't realize that, yeah, that's a great thing, but I was actually procrastinating and doing the things that I tell my clients to do. And so I'm like, okay, hold on. I'm telling so-and-so to do this, but I'm not on there myself. So when COVID happened, we were locked down, I didn't have any more excuses. I couldn't say I'm busy at networking events. I got all this to do. So I started doing my lives and stuck to that every Monday.
Right.
And I realized, oh my God, this is actually really uncomfortable for me. And I didn't think it would be, because I have done public speaking before. So it was just like, oh, now I understand, what my clients go through.
Right. And I guess one of the struggles, like, it's funny you say that, because I think the struggle with social media can be content. Like, what do you talk about every week? Or for me, I'm doing this daily, right? And I'm interviewing people daily, but still you've got to come up with content that's engaging, that's helpful. So isn't that one of your struggles? Like, one of the struggles that they would probably say is, I don't know what to talk about.
Yeah. And that is one of the biggest ones, one of the biggest reasons why, because like, I don't know, but then you start to dig in and you're like, look at this. You have all of this that you can talk about. You have a world of experience, even though so people don't realize that other people don't know what they know. Some of the things that they think everybody knows because Google's up, people don't know.
Right.
There was an attorney a client of mine talking about the black box in the car. I didn't know the car had a black box. I'm like, oh, this is complete news to me. I did not know, like, really legit, did not know there was a black box. He assumed He assumes everybody knows that. I don't know anything about that. I learned. So yes, that is a big mind obstacle that we have. Like, oh, everybody knows it. What am I going to talk about? No, they don't.
Right.
They don't know it.
Right. Because I think that's the thing. We're in our heads a lot, right? Saying, well, who, even if you know it and they don't know it, you're like, who really wants to know that? Like, you kind of downsize your expertise, your genius. Perhaps you just think, well, nobody would be interested even. Forget, no, I didn't know about a black box in a car either, so thank you. But what I mean is, like, even knowing that, you say, well, why would anybody really want to know anyways? Like, what difference does it make, kind of thing, right? Whereas you can spin it in a way that really is helpful for people to know why they need to know that. And I think as you work with a coach and somebody who's who is a specialist in that particular arena, can actually dig things out that you may not even see because you see it every day. Yes. And I think that's the beauty of working with a coach in any level, at any place in the business, whether it's social media, marketing, client retention, client acquisition. It could be any number of things as you're building a business. But so tell me, in terms of social media, I know that's a big word. Can you tell me, do you specialize in a certain platform, or do you kind of look at what the client needs and what's best for their business? So in some businesses, Facebook might be the platform. In others, it could be Pinterest, like how you found out for your business.
Yes.
What would you say?
So exactly that. I figure out what is best for that person's business. There's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest. Now, when it comes to TikTok and Snapchat, I refer those out just because I don't feel comfortable on I don't feel comfortable on them yet, and I don't know that I will be yet. So I have other people that do the same thing that I do, that they love doing that. So I refer to them. I have no problem with that. So it's about who is their audience and where are those people.
Right.
And because my audience or my ideal customer is usually somebody 38 and up, and unless they have physical products, their clients or customers are usually not on Snapchat or TikTok. That could change, and maybe I have to learn how to do it.
Right.
But I'm totally comfortable with that, with learning new things.
Right. And I think that's another thing as a business owner, right? Like, things are changing, evolving faster than ever before. Technology and all of, like, TikTok wasn't here, I don't know, 2 years ago. I don't even know when it was born, but it's not, things are changing, new things are coming up, and entrepreneurs have to learn to pivot, or depending on what their expertise is either learn it or refer it out, right? Because you want to make sure that your client gets the results. So it may be that, like you said, and I think the honesty is amazing to say, I don't specialize in TikTok or Snapchat at this point because my audience doesn't, they generally don't have that as a need, but you do refer it to somebody who is very good at it, because you may have a customer that their business would do very, very well if it was on TikTok.
Absolutely. So, and I also help because I am bilingual, because I'm originally I was born here in New Jersey, but I'm from Puerto Rico. I grew up there. I'm half Puerto Rican. I have bilingual, so clients who have a bilingual audience. Because, Spanish is the second language here in the United States, or I may have a client who is, in a Latin American country or in a Spanish-speaking country. So it's interesting to figure out if they want to know, should they have two different profiles, one in English and one in Spanish, or should they just on their post have the English and then the Spanish below, or however that works. So the bilingual aspect of bilingual aspect for some people is important. So what I focus on is mostly helping people with their strategies, specifically tied to business objectives, to generate those leads to grow their business. And I also help a lot of people who are, I will be helping a lot of people who are doing what you call a live launch in their groups, where they are, trying to bring people into their paid programs. So what they call a live launch concierge, which is the person behind the scenes, letting people know that they're there for if they need help, posting, maintaining engagement, those types of things. So social media strategy and coaching plus live launches, that's what I'm focusing on. And bilingual social media, that's what I'm focusing on right now.
That's amazing, because I think you're helping business owners, small business owners that have some of those struggles, whether it's the bilingual and not knowing kind of what to do with it, 2 profiles, 1 profile, whatever that may be, and also helping people in their launches, the live launches that you're talking about, that's a big task for a small business owner to take on, along with everything else that they have to do. And I think this is where we begin to leverage other people's expertise to help us grow faster.
Yes, absolutely. And, because you can't do all things. I've tried doing all things. And what happens is you go really, really slow, you get frustrated. It takes so much time to figure stuff out,
And then when you do figure it out, it changes, right?
Yeah.
Changes or something else happens. And because the process is slower, you're kind of getting sort of caught behind.
Yes. I learned that the hard way. I really did. When I started to learn, I should have hired somebody to do my Pinterest. I really didn't even know back then that you could do that. Right. So I learned it myself. And that is it is a beast, Pinterest. Right. And people don't realize it's not actually a social media platform. It's a search engine. Okay. And so it behaves a little bit differently, or a lot differently. And hiring people to do things, I do it now as well.
Right. And I think that's with any business, whether you're getting a virtual assistant, whether you're getting a social media strategist, whether you're getting, a website designer. And I know websites in terms of standalone are no longer working for businesses that want to grow, because that's more of a stagnant place to be, where there's just information content and stuff that's being housed there. But really, in terms of interaction, like you said, that's the key to strategy right now, is because people are building relationships in their business. And this is where, the whole like you, love you, trust you kind of relationships building pays off, right? So I think that's an amazing thing that you've really niched down, and you understand where your gift is. And because you were forced to learn something like Pinterest, now you can actually bring that and shorten the learning curve for others who don't have the time or the desire to learn.
The desire, yeah. And another big thing is for us to learn how to network online. I really had to really, back in our day, meeting people online was kind of creepy, wasn't it? It was like, ew, you met a person, you have a friend online, and it was like weird, right?
Yes.
And getting over that. And I actually have a friend that I've known for the past 5 years. I sometimes forget that I don't know her in person.
Right.
It's all been on Facebook.
Right.
And the first time that I ever got on Zoom with her was like 2 weeks ago. But so it is possible to create relationships with people on the other side of the world. And now, especially with all these lockdowns and things going on, networking, you got to learn how to network, how to find clients, how to get to know people online and grow your business online. It's important.
And I have to say, this is how we met, right? And worlds apart or countries apart, really didn't know each other before, but yet we are able to network. And I think, COVID has brought about, and I've said this all along, there's a silver lining to all of this. It's allowed us to grow in different ways. It's allowed us to really connect with our purpose and our missions and what do we really want to do, right? Not just for ourselves, our families, but really our communities and globally at large. What is that legacy we want to leave behind? And it's allowing us to really tap into that. But I think, it's making the world a bit smaller, right? Because we can connect to people across the globe and be as if we're sitting in each other's living rooms.
Absolutely.
Right? And there's a beauty in that, is that we are growing our networks. And I think we wouldn't have been able to do that. Like physically, there's no possible way that you could meet somebody in Australia, you know what I mean? And have a business relationship or a friendship relationship, whatever that might be. And now we all can. And I think that's brilliant.
And you can have clients anywhere in the world, which opens it up. So people are like, oh, I don't think there's enough business out there for me. Are you kidding me?
Right.
There's a world. You can have, as long as you speak the same language, you can have clients anywhere.
Right. And this is where we look at, when people are saying, I want to scale my business, I need X number of clients, right? But because we have 7 billion people in the world and, it's like you only need a very small amount of the pie to even scale business, right? Like to get bigger, to get larger, to reach more, to do more. And I think that's what this is allowing us to do. Technology is our friend. And I know for those of us that, or people that didn't grow up with it, it is a learning curve. And there is some fear there of not knowing, maybe, like clicking something. I know my mom, she won't click on anything on a computer because she thinks she's going to break it. And we're like, nothing's going to happen. Don't worry. But, there is that, right? You have to get over that hump. It's a learning curve.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So, you know what, we can probably talk on forever because this is such an interesting topic for me, but would you be able to kind of give us or our audience, like, if they were beginning to think about, I did put your website up, but if they were beginning to think like they wanted to get some help or get some guidance, how would they be able to contact you? And if you can just share that with us, what you could help them with.
Yeah. So, anybody who wants to contact me, the best way is on Facebook.
Okay.
I'm always on Facebook.
Okay, perfect.
They call me the Facebook lady in my house. Facebook, LinkedIn. So Facebook is the best way, or they can send me an email at truebluesocialmedia@gmail.com. I can help them with doing just like an audit, quick audit, 15-minute chat. Let's look at your social media. What's going on with it? And some quick tips on what they can do right now. Also on my business page, which is Easy Social Media for Small Business, I started that to just house videos and tips for small business owners so that they can, just implement some things right away and understand some things that may be confusing to them. So I started that not too long ago, but that's my intention, to put information out there so that they can just go there and learn. Right. And so they can reach me there as well.
And I think that's amazing that you've got content that people can at least start, dabble in it, figure things out. Because some people may have some basic knowledge or none at all, or they may actually be doing it, but they might want strategies in doing it better. Mm-hmm. So it's really good when a business owner like yourself can give content that they could access and have that ability to engage with you with, questions, even with something that you may have posted. So I think, obviously, for those of you watching, and I know a lot of people watch on replay, so you can be contacted on Facebook, like you said, and going onto your website, you'll be able, or your page, actually, you'll get some free content. Any immediate tips before we end this call, just to kind of give a couple of tips on strategy moving forward?
I think that I know people talk about this all the time, but I have found that knowing who that ideal client or ideal clients are, at the beginning, you're going to make educated guesses, right? Especially if you're starting out. But as time goes on, you will start to be able to refine and put in more detail about who that ideal client or ideal clients are. I think that knowing who you're talking to, who you're wanting to attract, is important, because then you can customize that messaging for their pain points, for their needs.
Right.
And that is so much more effective than just kind of what they call spray and pray.
Right. Well, it's like casting a big net, right? Trying to catch the fish.
Yes.
It's the same analogy.
Different. Then if you know which pond is the pond where your fish are, and you go there with a net, you are guaranteed to get that type of fish, right?
Right.
So,
and I think the other thing you just pointed out was knowing their pain points. Like, the basic thing about business is you are offering a solution that helps somebody else solve a problem that they either can't solve on their own, or they don't even understand that that's the problem that's limiting them from whatever they want to accomplish. Mm-hmm. So I think when you can understand that pain in a very refined way, maybe more specific as to what, not sort of the general pain, but what is that really underlying thing that's huge for movement or transformation, then you're able to provide a solution for that particular problem and that particular audience. Like in your case, you said you've just realized that you're attracting, your group anyways is 38 and plus, but you had to have some data to figure that out. Like initially you were kind of figuring it out yourself as to who is that group and what age group, but now you know that they tend to be sort of over that 38 years old mark.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think they're drawn to me because they see, okay, I'm older, and I've had clients tell me that, I just don't want to deal with someone younger because, like my kids, they don't have patience with me. Right. And so they just want somebody who can understand. Yeah.
You want to relate to the person that's going to be, assisting you, right? So I think that makes another big difference in terms of our target audience. Generally speaking, you're in that age group where you're at because you've had the experience. You are a few steps ahead of your group because you've learned it. And now you can kind of hold their hand and pull them up with you.
Yeah.
Right? And my favorite saying, and I say this on almost every broadcast, is we rise by lifting others. And
Yeah.
this is where we can shine, not just with our geniuses, but just with our ability to help others. And so I think you're brilliant. I love what you do and what you stand for. So I want to thank you for that. And you're welcome on the show anytime to share again any other tips that you may have. But I will definitely, promote your website just so that people can get a hold of you. And I encourage people. So if you're watching or you're on replay, reach out. This is the place where you can actually connect with people that can help you. Your network can grow as we begin to meet people from around the globe. So thank you so much, Francine. It was a pleasure. It was an absolute pleasure. So as you can see, there are a lot of people out there doing things that can actually help you in your business, because remember, as we talked about, we can't do all things all the time and grow our businesses. It's really something where we learn. Perhaps initially we do try and do everything, but then we realize that our time is not being optimized that way. We need to hire people that are experts in certain fields to be able to help us grow so that really we can continue doing what we're doing. So happy Wednesday, everybody. I know it's middle of the week. I want to thank you for joining me. If you're watching it on replay, remember #replay. If you have any questions for Francine, please reach out to her on her Facebook page. Check out her content and reach out to her if you have any questions in terms of how she could help you out. Wishing you a wonderful day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Remember to be kind to yourself and to others.